What's up, everybody? If I look like I just woke up, it's because I just got out of a massage. You're welcome. And I'll be getting a lot of massages to recover from the accident from a few weeks ago that I will share some updates on in a second. But before we get rolling on that, we're going to show Chilean sea bass. It's going to look a lot nicer than this fillet. We don't need too much for it. We can just go with some salt. It doesn't need to be kosher salt. That's just what we had. We're gonna wanna have some garlic powder. We could use garlic itself, but we don't have that. Onion powder. Could use onions themselves, but I prefer not to. This will be the quick and easy way to do it, as well as some ghee. Got a cool fancy plate, as well as the stove. Now I will turn the camera over to my far right Latino girlfriend. So this is gonna be a quick meal, very quick. In the interest of time, I will show you that all we're gonna do is we're gonna salt one side, put some, and then, we have this on a paper towel because we know that liquid is the enemy of a good sear. Put a little bit of onion powder. And we're gonna flip it. Do the same thing on side two. While we do that, we're going to scoop out a little bit of ghee, put that on the pan, let that thing get hot. All right, and we're going to put more salt on, same thing as last time. We'll just let this sit for a minute or so while the pan gets hot. And of course, I want to share an injury update. So you guys know, a few weeks ago, a 5-year-old and I were in a car, and someone decided to not pay attention to the road he was driving on, slammed into us, hitting us at about 50 miles an hour while we were parked at a dead stop. Not parked, stopped at a red light. 5-year-old is on her way to a very full and good recovery, according to what the chiropractor expects. She's still getting treated for a sprained back, spine. She's been out of jiu-jitsu for a few weeks, but she's smiling and she's scared, right? So she'll deal with the trauma of the accident for probably forever. But we don't expect a ton of lingering physical injuries from her. She's young people survive these things better. She was also in a car seat. But this old man, had a different diagnosis, different prognosis. So we had x-rays done on my spine a couple days after the incident, and definitely some vertebrae were slightly out of position from where you would want them to be. We haven't had an MRI yet, and the reason we haven't had an MRI is, I was experiencing some tingliness in my legs immediately following the accident, but the chiropractor didn't urgently require me to get an MRI. So we could take some time on it and some other things to take care of. Before I continue, this is fairly hot. We're going to turn it down to a little bit under top heat. So this is going to be actually like 8 out of 10 heat on a gas stove, probably 6 out of 10 heat if we're unfortunate enough to be using an electric stove. And we have the sea bass dehydrated on both sides. So that's about the sear that we're looking for. Right, we want a light sizzle, unlike with the steak. And the reason we want a light sizzle is because we don't want to eat this thing medium rare. We want it juicy in the center, but we don't want it like red, or it won't be red. We don't want it to be white, the fish equivalent of red. And so that's about the what we want from and if you could smell it, it smells awesome, as always. And so I haven't had an MRI yet. On Monday, however, I awoke in the middle of the night and my lat was twitching in ways that it's never twitched before, which is why I have a lidocaine patch on. I have no idea if that's going to help because I'm almost certain that it is due to something in my cervical spine, my neck. Adjustments in the neck positioning will touch on nerves that can manifest in tinglingness, burning sensations, numbness, or twitching. And so in my case, it was twitching. And so, at this point, the chiropractor, they said, okay, well, it probably makes sense to get an MRI right now, set me up with an attorney. And I have not retained a specific attorney, but I spoke with one. And the unfortunate thing about these sorts of cases in the state of Texas, and it should be different in every state, is all of these attorneys work on contingency fees. So even if you have a simple and straightforward case, easy to prove damages, there's not a ton of assets on the table. We only have maybe $130,000 that is possible to be recouped from this guy based on insurance limits. They want a cut of it. They want a percentage of it. And so all the attorneys, that's a great color, by the way. Good job, Alex. All of the attorneys that we've spoken to only work on contingency fees and they want 35 to 40%. Now, that seems like a lot. Obviously, they got to get paid. They're not going to take on claims that they don't think they can win. And so that 35 to 40% needs to cover the times where they hit a big donut, a big zero. But usually, they're only going to take on cases where they're going to get something. And so that leaves me, like, if I can't work, if I only work 50% of the time for 3 months as I'm rehabilitating from this accident, and instead of making $20,000 a month, I make 10, right? That's $30,000 in wages that I've lost. That's a relatively quick recovery. And so if I'm down $30,000 in wages and it costs me another $30,000 in medical expenses to get better, then that's $60,000 that I'm out, but my spine's never going to be the same, right? And so at most, if I paid an attorney a contingency fee and they took 40% of 125, say, at most I get $75K, and that will, in the hypothetical where I'm healing very, very quickly, barely cover everything. But if it's a mid-case deal, this is cooking very quickly, so we're going to turn the heat down just a little bit. In a mid-case, if it takes me 6 months to get back to 97%, because you're never going to be 100% after one of these things. And I'm working half the time because I'm going to and from all these medical appointments. Well, it's $60,000 in lost wages. And then if there's another $30,000 in medical expenses, all of a sudden there's not enough to cover the damage that this driver did to me. And in the state of Texas, you can't even go after him personally. You can't get a lien on his house, even though he doesn't have a house. I can't seize his car. And if I get a judgment against him, he does not pay. Right? And so as much as Texas is a freedom-loving state, I don't think that freedom should extend to being a derelict and not paying civil judgments that are against you. And so because that exists, realistically, your health is only up to you. Nobody will take care of your health the way you can take care of your health. The best way to recover from an accident is to never get into one. But the second best way is to be very prepared, right? Because I would estimate that my abdominals and lower back are about 150% stronger. Now we're going to put this on its side. I would estimate they're about 150% stronger than the average person. And without that core strength, that core strength can conceal a lot of damage that's going on from what I've heard. But that if my abdominal wall wasn't as strong as it was, whatever slippage or herniations that may be going on in my discs would be multiples worse. And those aren't things that you can just fix, right? There are no full recoveries from spinal injuries like that. And so no matter what, going through an accident like this will take years off your back. And so the best thing you can do is just avoid situations where you're going to be hit by crazy people on the road. That's step 2 in our lives. But if you have to be on the road with these degenerates, you got to be in shape. Like you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, you've got to be in shape. You got to have a strong core and obviously drive defensively. I hadn't thought to be that proactive in checking my rear view mirror when I was driving. Now I am. I'm a little bit more paranoid when I'm stopped at a red light, because you realize like you're vulnerable. You are a sitting duck. If somebody decides that they want to not pay attention to the cars in front of them, and this is going to be much more common with smartphones, basically permeating every part of our lives. What happened to me is going to be common, real common. And so you gotta understand that it might be rare statistically now for somebody to go through an accident like this, but you have to assume that at some point in your life, some degenerate's gonna hit you. And what kind of shape are you in, right? We know that fat people do not survive accidents as well because their body is already stressed out from how hard it's working being fat. You don't want to stress your body out unnecessarily. You want to stress your body out in an acute fashion, like training. You don't want to be chronically fatigued by having like a high BMI to work with. And so the more you can invest in staying in shape, the better you can protect against some sort of crazy incident like this. Okay, so we are basically seared on all sides. We're not done cooking, right? So we're gonna take this off and we're gonna let it sit. Let that sit for a minute or so. We are gonna pour some of the juice on it. That looks delicious. And then we gotta get a fork from the drawer. And then we're gonna get the rice. I trust you all know how to cook rice. We're gonna get the rice from the microwave. Brushing the microwave that rice a little more. So we're gonna know if this is ready to be eaten when the liquid from the center starts to come through. It's already looking pretty good. We're gonna probably give it about 2-3 more minutes. If you guys have any questions regarding anything we discussed, obviously drop them. Yeah, it was really interesting speaking with an attorney today. Dude's just trying to scare me into like, insurance companies are gonna do this, that. We can look under these rocks. It's like, dude, there's not that much money that can be uncovered. They try to position themselves as to be magicians. In some sense, you want that, Scumbag attorneys are good at being scumbags on both sides, and maybe you want a scumbag representing you. I don't know. But there's no such thing as a halfway crook as well. And so if they're going to take advantage of insurance companies, they're probably going to take advantage of you as a client too. And so, nobody wants that. I did like the attorney that we spoke with previously. I think she seems like, somebody that I feel more comfortable doing business with like this. All right, so we got.
Can you move it closer?
Got the rice cooking in the microwave. I got a 3-day beard, I don't plan to shave. All true. I don't even know, can I sing that song without doing a copyright violation? Is that something I can do on these streams? Okay, well, we're about to find out. Okay, so we got a nice bed of rice. And I'll just give you a little bit, we're gonna wait for about a minute or so for that thing. But I'll take a nice corner piece and let you know, before I put that in my mouth, you want to get a little close up on how moist, juicy that is. That's a $30 filet in a restaurant, my mind. Of course, Chef Alex doesn't miss. Thank you for tuning in. Post comments below if you want us to steer content in any way in our next stream. And of course, next week we'll be on Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. We'll be on the road first couple weeks in April. So perhaps we'll not be streaming at that point. But until then, Chef Alex doesn't miss. Peace out.